Alright, folks, this is Rabble Rousing Rich Bergeron.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your Vegas boy, the Tornado Tony Penicow.
And Psychic Tom Paget with this crystal ball validated from last week.
I don't know about that Cowboy Cerrone, though. He's a tough
moving right along, I mean, I was thinking of Las Vegas. Okay? The man only has so much psychic brain power, and my geography was, my geography was a little. That's what the problem was. But, I got the boxing right.
But Tony was there. He was at Box Fan Expo. I've been publishing press releases for years, and he got there before me. And I lived in Vegas for years. I couldn't necessarily
I'll tell you, I sent you the write-up this afternoon when I was at work. Oops, so I didn't say that out loud, did I? Cool, man. It was real. I had already bought a ticket. Figured I wasn't going to get the press credentials. But then I was like, I got an extra ticket, but it was hard for him. So in a way, it was a good thing that he didn't go, because it took me a while to get there from where I was. Even at the Luxor to the MGM, I had a good, a little bit of a walk, and then getting the tram and all that. I mean, it didn't bother me none, but it would have been good for him if we didn't have to rush around and stuff like that. But the Boxing Fan Expo, I got there, and you walk into the very large room, and the ring stuff there, they had amateur fights going on, and they had, just booths all over the place. And the first booth I saw with this astronomical line was, you guys want to take a guess? A current world champion.
Current world champion.
Just after this first career loss.
What? What was that?
Just suffered his first career loss.
Mike Garcia.
Very good.
Yeah.
Shows
you how far I was.
The first line I saw, I was like, holy shit. So I started walking around just trying to soak everything up and just take photos and, look at all the memorabilia. And then the first booth I got to, there was no real line for, was Lights Out Tony. And I know Richard said that, sometimes he could be kind of, a little bit rude. But I was like, you know what? I go over there, and the first thing I said is, like, I saw that they were charged. I was like, well, I said, I got press credentials. What does that get me? They're like, nothing. I'm like, shit. They're like, the woman's like, listen, it's 20, here for 15. I'm like, okay. Whatever, this is Team Tony, man. Hell of a fighter. So I go over there, and you know what? Nicest guy to me. Had on a plaid suit. He made plaid look good. And he's like, where are you from? I'm like, Philadelphia. Philadelphia, really? He goes, I'm going to be in Philadelphia on June 7th. Someone's just doing a show. And of course, I'm drawing a brain freeze right now. But I was like, oh, shit. I know of that show. So I told him I might see him there. But he was cool shit. Then I went over to the booth right next to him, which was a former guest of ours, Al Bernstein. And Al, you can always see, when you hear Al on TV, and I said this when we interviewed Al, and at the time, this might even been before you were on the show with us. Might have been like 2000. And I said to Al on the phone with him, I said, I grew up watching him and Barry Tompkins on ESPN, the Thursday night fights. And I said, there was two sets of announcers back then that, I was so familiar with. And that was Al Bernstein and Barry Tompkins on ESPN, and then Al Albert and Sean O'Grady on USA's Tuesday night fights. And both of them I had the same feeling with, is that when you sat there and listened to those teams, because they had such great chemistry together, that you felt like they were like a couple of uncles just, inviting you over to talk fights. And I said that to Al then, and so I said, hey, sir, it's a pleasure to meet you. I said, I grew up, watching the Thursday night fights, and he actually deflected a lot of the attention from him, because he goes, you know what, I enjoy working with Barry Tompkins. I just saw him a few days ago. And, I talked to Al for just a moment or two. And then I was walking around. Sugar Ray Leonard, don't even try it. You know, I mean, yeah, unbelievable line. And that's,
what? Did you do something in boxing? I don't remember.
I wanted a chance. Excuse me. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I wanted to get in that line, but I knew my time was limited. I only had 2 hours there because I had to get back to the T-Mobile because that's where my dad was going to meet me, and I had the mobile tickets. So, as I'm looking at Sugar Ray Leonard line, and he's just flashing this $1 million smile. And when he was doing photos of people, like the one photo I saw him take, he was doing, like, if you remember Sugar Ray, when he would drop an opponent, he'd thrust his arms up in the air in like a victory pose. And he was doing that with a couple of fans. And I was like, damn it, the line's so long. But in a kind of sad way, the booth, like a couple down from him, the line was not long, and that was one of his most famous rivals in Thomas Hearns. And, you know, this guy is an absolute legend, you know, as well. Hagler, Hearns, you know, first guy to win all those titles in, like, I think, like 4 or 5 weight classes, you know, in succession. And I'm like, I can't turn by the opportunity to meet this guy. So I go on the line, and I remember the woman saying, she said, listen, he's a little slow right now. And it in a way broke my heart. And I got up there, and you can see the guy that was so fearsome in his prime, I mean, just fearsome looking, was the exact opposite. It was a very warm smile, didn't say much, but he was happy. Like, I got to shake the right hand, that nuclear missile of a right hand that knocked out so many guys that Lake Berta ran out cold. I shook it. I'm like, how awesome is that, right? Then I went over, and the Vinny Paz booth was empty. What the fuck, right? Where the hell's Vinny at? Here he comes in, making a grand entrance in Vinny, typical Vinny style. Vinny looked like he may have been out the night before.
No.
And I'm a big fan of Paz, mean devil. But Vinny came in, shades on, big coffee in his hand, and I'm like, I think he had a better time last night than even I did. I had a good time.
When in Vegas.
But he came in and yeah, when in Vegas, as soon as he sees me, gives out a big yell like, Tony B! He runs over, gives me a big hug, and then he's like, where's your father? And I'm like, hey, he's back at the hotel, man. You know, he's, I'm going to meet him in the front. Papa P, I said hi, you know? And then, you know, I got in Vinny's line, and I'll tell you, if you ever want to see a guy really meticulously doing autograph, watch Vinny Paz. Because a lot of guys you'll see now, I'm not an autograph guy. You know, I'm not a guy that likes to, you know, because I lose them half the time anyway, or I'll put them away somewhere and you won't see them. I'm the guy, I like photos with people, because that way I can share and show people and all. And a lot of times, like, you get a guy in line, they'll say, and you just for example, just say Sugar Ray Leonard. He's like, Sugar Ray Leonard, boom, and sign it in like 2 seconds. Vinny, like, right on there, and he does illustrations with it. Vinny Paz with stars 5 times, you know, they'll like, whatever else on there. But, you know, it's cool to talk to him, and then I went over to the line for Roy Jones. And Roy, also cool as shit. Roy, what he was doing, you know, he was, like, once again, I was doing photos. So, last year, when I went to that Sergey Kovalev fight in Atlantic City when he lost the title to Alvarez, Roy was training the fighter Isaac Chalemba, who fought the co-feature. And me bringing the camera, I'm old school, I got a great photo of Roy in the ring when they were doing the pre-fight intros. So I pulled it up on my phone to show it to him, and he's like, yeah, that's a hell of a good shot, you know? And then I told him, I was like, how close I saw him on the creek, you know, getting his makeup on to do the one commentary scene. But Roy, very nice. And then I saw Tom, and you'll remember this guy, Kevin Farmer. Remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Saw him fight when you came to Philly that night.
Right.
Kevin, who's a current world champion, junior lightweight, he was there, and he was walking in, and he was actually coming up to Tommy Hearns' line. And I said to him, and I said to him about Philadelphia. He's like, yeah, Philadelphia. Yeah, I'm like, no. couple, like I said, the first line that I saw was Mikey Garcia, which was, wrapping around. Other fighters that had extremely long lines, tell me if you set the pattern here. Juan Manuel Marquez, Marco Antonio Barella, Eric Morales. You got a pattern so far? Yeah.
Mexican Independence Day.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then, I forget what line I was in. It might have been the Richard Jones line. Ladies and gentlemen, Julio Cesar Chavez. And you just heard the place just erupt. And like I said, I wasn't even attempting that line. The prices, honestly, for photos weren't bad. I think it was like average of like $20, And per my thought process, I got, let's say 4 or 5 photos, right? How quickly would I drop that in the casino?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, they were charging me for the Tyson one. It was extra for the picture, but just for his autograph, it was like $350, and it came with the glove. And and it was authenticated, though. It's like you get a certificate of authenticity and everything like that. And they'll try to give you, though, when they do that, they try to give you the tiniest, like, shittiest novelty glove that you couldn't even wear.
Right.
So I got a different glove.
I'm wondering what he would have charged just the photo, because that's what I was interested in, would be the photo.
Yeah, I don't know what they did, but they give you another frame and everything, but do it right on the spot. He made a shitload of money that day. I was surprised he wasn't at Bucks Fan Expo. Yeah, he definitely cleans it up.
Before I get to the recap of the play card, I do want to give just a humorous little tidbit. So I get into town on Friday, Friday around 11 o'clock-ish, local time, because I had an early morning flight out of Philadelphia. So you figure I got up Thursday at 6 a.m. to go to work, got home, packed and all that, we did our show till about 10. I didn't go to bed till about midnight. We were up at 3 in the morning. I didn't sleep on the plane, so I'm basically surviving on 5-hour energy drinks and coffee with lots of caffeine in it. And that I stayed at the Luxor, the one at the Pyramid, but I was going to New York, to the Coyote Ugly Bar, which is basically based off the movie where the girls dance on the bar and they pass out drinks and all that.
Yes, I saw the pictures. Wonderful.
So I walk in and go up to the bartender. I was there for happy hour. The drinks at happy hour were $7.
Ooh. Strip club prices.
I go in and the bartender, cute, tiny little girl, and they always ask, "Where are you from?" Because we have people from Australia and England and all over the country. "Where are you from?" I'm like, "Philadelphia." Oh my God! One of the girls that works here is from Philadelphia. The girl that works there knows me from the Phillies games.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
But I'm going to throw an asterisk on that because I knew she worked there. She's a friend of mine from the Phillies, and she told me when I come to Vegas I had to come in and visit. So I did. So she she comes and sees me, goes, "This is a big hug." And she said, and I'm like, "You recognize me out of costume?" She goes, "Well, I see your face. You don't cover your face when you're in a costume." So I was hanging out with them, had some drinks. Finally, at around, 11:30 local time, when I'm pretty much up 24 straight hours, I'm like, "Girl, I got to tap out. I got to go." I mean, I'm about ready to fall asleep on the dance floor. And got back to the hotel, got up the next morning, breakfast, went to the convention. Then I met my dad over at, T-Mobile Arena. And what an arena that place is. Wow. Holy shit. I mean, it is sparkling. You figure if they see 20,000 for hockey, I don't know what they see for boxing, but it's definitely in the 20s. And we got there from the very first prelim. Got to see some pretty good fights. Got to see some, decent knockouts. And then we were part of the Daniel Jacobs minority. so we definitely didn't want to cheer too loud for Daniel Jacobs because it might have got us murdered.
Oh yeah. That I know what you were up against. That was like me when I was ringside at Duran and Cuevas. I mean, it was Duran was my guy, but I didn't want to just, especially when the fight ended, I didn't want to rub it in.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this, man. I mean, it was about a 90-10 split. And that's being generous to Danny Jacobs.
Yeah, real generous.
And the people that were there for that, I mean, I'm not going to say a lot of them were knowledgeable boxing fans. A lot of them were just Canelo. I mean, that place was half full until it was time for the main event. So you figure these people that paid $400, $500, $600 plus for tickets didn't come in until only the main event. The beers were $16 a beer.
Ooh.
I wasn't drinking. I wasn't drinking. It didn't matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching people double fisting.
Wow.
I'm watching, and I'm like, wow, hey, it was a party atmosphere. It definitely was. With regards to breakdown of the fight, the one thing I said was I figured Danny would start with movement early. I figured that. Try to, set the distance, control the pace, do all of that, and, kind of take the crowd out. Because, every time Canelo even came close to a punch, that place was going to erupt. Mm-hmm. So Jacobs, for the first few rounds, in a way, reminded me of Marvin Hagler against Sugar Ray Leonard. Because Hagler gave away those for a few rounds and ended up biting him in the ass later. And so Danny was controlling the distance with his jab, but he wasn't doing anything of significance. He was neutralizing Canelo, but Canelo was the aggressor. Canelo landed a few body shots in those rounds. Canelo swept the first round. I think I might have given Jacobs the second round for a few deep. But for the most part, Canelo swept the early rounds. Jacobs made there was a reason he did it, but I don't know what it is. Fought majority of the time in stretches as southpaw, and I don't know if that was to take maybe Canelo was hooked to the body. But I don't know the strategy behind it because I didn't think he was very effective in it. What really impressed me more than anything by Canelo, it was if you go back to my report last week, I wrote on there as one of his weaknesses that he's easy to hit. I said he shows a decent defense, but not great. I said he'll block punches, he'll slip some punches, but there are times that he gets like a lapse in concentration, and he's susceptible, especially straight right hands. He was not during that fight. He showed incredible head and upper body movement, and that really kept Danny Jacobs off balance. And one of the first things I learned when I trained in Philadelphia, my trainer put his hand up, and he said, "You don't have to either hit me hard, but just punch my hand a few times." And I did. I jabbed it 3 or 4 times. And he goes, "You're not even thinking. You're just doing it, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then he started moving his hand back and forth like he was waving at me. Mm. He goes, "Now do it." And I would almost hesitate before I would throw it. And he goes, "Exactly." He goes, "Have you thinking now?" Because you're trying to time it. You're trying to see things. You're trying to anticipate where my hand is going to be. He goes, and at the same time, you're not punching. Right. And Canelo's upper body movement is he slipped a lot of punches, but he also was making Danny Jacobs think out there. And that's why he won the decision. I thought 115-113 was more than fair. You could make the argument for 116-112. I thought Canelo landed better punches. I'm a big Danny Jacobs fan, but the better man won.
And that was almost universally the consensus online, that the judges got it right, and it wasn't a slaughter by any means, but Danny did not do enough to take the title. And there you
right.
go.
which is crazy because, I mean, from what I saw, when he did come out in spurts, he landed almost every shot in some of those exchanges. So it was like, he picked the perfect spots to catch him sleeping, but he didn't do any more beyond that. He was totally waiting for those opportunities, and Canelo just let him have a lot of them, fortunately for him, but that's what made it close.
Yeah.
So I actually was falling asleep through most of it, willing myself to stay awake for the end of it, and it was just because I watched every other fight that night, except for Bellator. I didn't catch that, but I was watching UFC. I was watching the ESPN fights, Bob Arum's counter-programming effort there, and I actually saw a lot of the undercard too. What was your favorite moment of the fights underneath it, Tony?
Well, definitely the knockout. The very impressive knockout. Which I have my bounce sheet in front of me.
Sergio Ortiz Jr., was that the one, or Joseph Diaz? Which is the one that knocked him out? Was the junior, the undefeated guy, 12-0, right?
Yeah, he got him 12-0.
Right. Yeah, it was one punch knockout, just blasting him.
Knocked him. Like I said, I was drawing a blank on his name right now, so I'm looking to pull that up.
Well,
I mean, Graham is one of those fighters that is a spoiler. He's known to make guys just look bad. He made Danny Garcia look terrible, and I mean, he got blown out. We had another impressive fight on the non-televised undercard with a fighter by the name of John Ryder, and he won the super middleweight title over Bilal Akaway. And the first 2 rounds were so boring that people were booing. And my dad said, he goes, something's going to happen. This fight's going to blow up. And not only to blow up, Ryder blew Akaway out. The 3 rounds on that one.
Nice.
Pulling up, so we had we had Joseph Diaz with the TKO over Freddie Fonseca. That was a decent performance. But the one I was on was Virgil Ortiz Jr. against Mauricio Herrera. I mean, like I said, Herrera is that ultimate spoiler. He's hard to look good against. He's awkward, but Ortiz was out there. I mean, he put some power shots in there.
Awesome.
I mean, he hit him with the shot. It was bam, and I mean, they stopped it immediately. I mean,
well, that's the one.
As soon as we were at canvas,
That's the one that I tried to bring up the video the other day. On one computer, I can watch Twitter videos that are over 10 seconds, but on the other one, I can't. It's like anything under 10 seconds is good, but for some reason, won't let me watch the longer one. So I didn't get to see that one, but the one I'm thinking of is almost exactly the same, but different level of competition. But on the ESPN card, there was another junior, Gabriel Flores Jr., and he knocked his dude out pretty much the same way. And he's 12-0, funny enough.
I'm looking at that card right now. I know Iceman John Scully had his boy Arthur Beaterbob on there defending his IB World Light Heavyweight title.
Let me tell you, that guy is a little bit aggressive, I have to say. I think he's a little bit antsy at times. But, man, I've never seen anybody rush the opponent like he did off the bell. This guy basically threw 3 punches, and the dude was like crumpled up against the ropes. He just bowled forward, and he's just nuts. He's so aggressive, and it worked in his favor because he got the knockout. But I mean, it was like, oh, yeah, it was ugly. Like, yeah, this was not my best performance. Yeah, I won. I didn't know what to do. He's just like, what the hell is this guy on?
So he's still got a lot of growing to do. I know Iceman's been working with him. So that's what John had posted a couple of the still shots after the win, with the whole team in the ring. And I heard about Flores knockout, the one punch basically knockout
But Beterbiev, yeah. And there's a lot of light heavyweight Russians now in the mix. They're talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, you got that the boy I saw last year. The guy that beat Chilamba of Christ. He just beat Joe Smith, though. I forgot his name.
Labsvik or something like that.
What was the one you said?
Kaladzdik, that guy?
No, not him. There's another guy in the mix, too.
Artur Beterbiev? No, that's the other. That's the guy that you just fought. No, I'm thinking of, who's the other guy? Now you got me saying the same thing.
I just have an article on that, too. I can't believe Dimitri, what the?
Bivol.
Bivol, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I know who you're thinking of.
And I saw him
that
when
Russian
he fought
dude.
last year and won pretty much every round.
Yeah, that light heavyweight division is stacked right now. Wow.
Yeah. Good quality fighters, you know.
No, that Russian dude, Ivan Drago. You know who I'm talking about.
He's definitely good.
No, but Beterbiev, I don't know what it is about him. I like it. It's just he actually does have very good defense when he is in defensive mode. I noticed that because Hot Rad, they call him, was really a jabber. You know, he's known for his jab. So even the announcers are like, "Well, he's got to get that jab going if he's going to make any progress here." And he just couldn't get it going because Beterbiev was just swarming him and clubbing him down. Actually, reminded me of what they used to always say about Rocky Marciano, is that he would just relentlessly club you down. And this is what this guy did.
Yeah, and just in close, he could get those power shots off in a phone booth.
Yeah,
and
very short.
Someone was even commenting about maybe it's a good thing for Andre Ward that he retired. That style would be a challenge for Ward. Because Ward was good at neutralizing guys on the inside, but I don't know. I mean,
and they were actually saying in the pre-fight stuff that Beterbiev has amateur history against all of them, pretty much, and has beaten them all. So 13 knockouts, 13 wins, and he's steamrolling people. And Kaladzdik went in undefeated. So not anymore. We also talked about the other one there. I guess we didn't call it the Jesus Fight of the Week, but there was a Jesus fight on that card. Jesus lost. Jesus falls to 2-3. Jesus Godinez. How about that for a name? Marco Antonio Arroyo.
Rich, I haven't sent it to you, but I have a picture on my Facebook album from the trip where there was a Jesus Vegas key ring. I took that picture just for you. I was going to put something saying like, "Oh, great, even Jesus goes to Vegas."
Well, Jesus fights in Vegas every week, probably. There's at least one Jesus.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were the big fights last week. There wasn't a lot of other stuff going on. Other notable fights on that card you went to. Joseph Diaz, super featherweight, beat Freddie Fonseca. Joseph goes to 28-1. Fonseca falls to 26-2-1. And we had Lamont Roach getting the WBO and WBO International Super Featherweight title and NABO Super Featherweight title. Jonathan Oquendo there.
Right.
Roach stays undefeated. Oquendo takes a 6 loss.
Oquendo outworked him. I thought Oquendo should have got that decision.
Well, there you have it. Rain Man was counting the punches. Did you count any cards in Las Vegas there, Boxing Rain Man?
Did I what?
Did you count any cards in Las
Vegas? Did I count any cards? I didn't even play blackjack out there. It was funny. I was doing so many things. I didn't even want to sit down on the table because I knew I was going to be able to, sit there very long because I had so many things I wanted to do. Like, the first night, we got into town, showered up. When I went to the pool first, sat there. Oh, still like this, guys. You get a kick out of this. You go to these hotels anymore. They charge you for everything. You pay for a room. You're paying like a couple $100 a night, and then they want you to rent a seat at the pool. Really? I'm going down the pool. So okay, this hotel, which most of them, you have to be at that hotel to go to that pool. So you show your card, your key, or whatever. So you go into the pool, and I'm looking for a seat, right? Well, the first pool they had was paid access. So you had to pay to go into this section of the pool. Okay, well, I ain't paying. So I was walking around, and I see a bunch of seats. Okay, a bunch of seats. I'm looking at them. A lot of seats taken. I see these. They were just white lounge chairs. They're all taken. I see 4 blue lounge chairs sitting there. So I sit on one of them. This girl comes over a minute later. She goes, "Is anybody sitting here?" There was 4 or 5. So she sits on the one with 1 or 2 down from. And about a minute or so after she sits down, a guy comes over from the resort and he goes, "Did you guys pay for these seats?" And I'm like, I look at her, she looks at me, we're like, "No." Well, and the guy says, "Listen," he goes, "These are seats like with the canopy, and you have to rent the canopy to sit here. Because listen, I really don't care." But he goes, "Listen, security's walking around."
It's like a cabana, right? They call it a cabana.
Yeah, the cabana. That's right, not a cabana. The cabana. So I look at her. She looks at me. And I'm like, "What do you think?" She goes, "Let's sit here until they kick us out." I said, "Okay." It was maybe like 10 or 2 local time. I'm gonna say that a lot local time because my clock was still on Eastern. So I'm sitting there. We didn't get kicked out of those seats for 45 minutes. So finally, you guys are sit on these seats or whatever. So when we were walking away, I looked at them. Yeah, we had a good 45-minute run, so we can't complain. So when I was leaving, I was going back up to my room. I was like, let me just ask. I'm like, well, how much it cost to rent one of them cabanas or whatever? They're like $100 for the day. I'm like, fuck that, we're paying enough. So I'm like, okay, I'm not worried about that. I don't want to go back to the pool a little bit more, so definitely wouldn't have paid for it. But like I said, I got back in my room, took a shower, went down, grabbed a quick bite to eat, and then I'm wandering. Oh my God, I'm going to play slot for $20. That's what I wanted to do, I'm like, if I would have sat down at the table, I know I probably would have ended up at the New York bar in an hour when I wanted to. And then like the next day, like I said, I was at that boxing Expo, and then from the Expo right to the fight card. So that night after I got back from the fight, I grabbed a slice of pizza, then it was like, I'm going to play slot for a little bit, but I'm tired, Then Sunday, I just walked the strip all day. I had 38,000 plus steps on my Fitbit by the end of Sunday.
Nice. Yeah, the strip will do that to you.
Yes, it will.
Yeah. Especially when somebody thinks they lost their wallet. You have to go all the way back across the whole strip that you just went down. I had to do that with the girl out there once. Yeah,
I saw a homeless guy basically dive into the fountain
nice.
In front of Caesar Palace to grab change.
Oh, there's some in there, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this guy pushed people out of the way. He just threw his whole upper body in there, and he started running away. And I was like, holy shit, Wow.
Yeah, actually, when they do the Las Vegas episodes of Cops and stuff, you notice a lot of the activity is around the fountains.
Yeah, right.
People tend to get down there and cause havoc. Steal money out of the fucking mimes.
I'll tell you, man, I was talking to Miami.
I had the pleasure of going there on one of my first trips during the weekend of Halloween. And so everybody's, not only are you in Vegas, but everybody's in freaking costume. So it was a little weird. Very weird sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Vegas and Halloween is probably just like Saturday.
Yeah,
It's like any day. That's what I was telling people. Like, I fit into that town. I said, like, I'm normal there. I'm actually below that.
Yeah, you could put your Phillies superfan costume on and a pair of boxing gloves and just sit there and shadow box with a hat, another hat in front of you.
I'll give you a way to follow. The next time I go, I've been chastised that I better bring the outfit and wear it into the karaoke bar.
Nice.
And not to know that I know Brittany from Philadelphia, because Brittany saw the old one. She has not seen the new one.
Then they'll make you sing like "Born in the USA" or something. You have to get up on the bar.
They play "Living in America." I'm going to do the whole Apollo Creed routine.
Exactly. There you go.
Well, like I said, the girl I know, Brittany's supposed to visit sometime this summer, her fiance and whatever. And then I told them if they go to a game, I'll make sure that I'm there in the costume so she can see the new one. Then the other girl, Bree, who's like 10, she looks at me like pissed off. Like, and I'm like, well, Bree, Jesus Christ, just jump in her suitcase. You're small now. I think she's going to step on my toes doing that. You come visit too. Like, wink, wink. I'm definitely coming too. But I said, next time I'm here, I'll bring this with me, and I will wear it in your. Because I didn't know, I had never been there. I didn't know if there was a dress code there. You know, some clubs, you got to wear whatever. Like, I even asked, I'm like, is there a dress code? She laughed. That me. The first time when I showed up, I had like a shirt on, my flamingo tie and whatever. But other people were walking in like tank tops and shit. So the next time I came out, I was sleepless, like got intended. But I will wear the flip-flop next time.
Well, glad you had a good trip, and we could hook you up with special access, I guess, to the Box Fan Expo. They were hounded. As soon as they gave me the okay, they were like, send us everything. Oh my God. Okay, we have to verify it. But yeah, so we'll get that up there tonight on your write-up. I didn't get a chance to read it. I had a busy day myself today. Pull and brush.
Yeah, like when I was first starting it, like I was gonna like do it as a like a coverage. Like, hi, this event was like this, and so was that. I said, you know what? No, I'm gonna change it, and I'm gonna write it from a first-person perspective as a fan going there, and you know, with some of the people I met and some of the things that we discussed, and then including the photos. And like I said, I sent you a few of the photos, but there's more on my Facebook album with some of the pictures of the booth.
Those pictures were great, Tony. I just didn't want them.
Yeah, I went through those. Those were good.
Oh, yeah, you know what else they had out there? You want to talk about something amazing? And it ended up helping me win a free water bottle. And even better was because I forgot my portable charger. Like, I have one that's like almost like a flat little portable charger. And you use it for your phone, because I know I was going to be gone for a good bit of the day, and I was going to burn up a lot of my battery. And I'm thinking, like, what am I going to do here, right? So go in there, and you ever see those heavy bags they have on stands? You get them.
Oh yeah, I saw those pictures.
I
saw those pictures.
Yeah, well, this wasn't just a heavy bag on a stand. It was a moving heavy bag on a stand. And to make it even better, it was like a smart bag. Because you would go to, like, you would have lines in front of you. Now, this was kind of a disadvantage to me because I had short arms. I looked at the clothes. It would say, every time you got into your clothes, it would say, back off. I'm like, well, first, I can't reach it now. But the bag would actually react to your movements, and then it would pick up on your patterns, and it would move from you. You know, so it would know if, like, you would always do, like, a certain movement, it would kind of move away from that to make it even more challenging. So, I was doing like, so the first time I jabbed it a few times, then I throw 1, 2, and then I throw my big left hook. Boom! And it was like 76, you know, so I ranked the 76 on that one. Okay, pretty cool. It's like, back up! Okay, of course, now I got back up. Then I fire like a straight right hand. My straight right hands are going in like 40s, 50s. Because it wouldn't let me overhand it because they would say, you're too close. I was winging some left hook. I missed a lot of them too, because the thing would pull back from me. Then it would tell me to back up, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. I ain't backing away from nothing. But then I started doing feints, and I had the bag actually biting on my feints, and then I'd fake the jab, throw a right hand, and then I'd fake the right hand, throw a left hook. And I was landing some of the shots. I was like, this is cool as shit, man. I'm like, how awesome that? It's a smart bag.
That's cool. It's about time.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I gave this to my dad. He takes one photo, and then he's like, I'm going to do a video. But he didn't video. And I'm like, you only got one photo and no video. And I'm like, I don't even want a video, Pop. Just photos. Because if you want to do it again, I'm like, God damn it. You know, I'm sucking air here. Well, old. But I'm like, nah, man, throw me back on. I'll do it again. So I did it again. It's all done. I'm like, oh, shit, I'm sore. Shit. I'm worried now. I even started. Hell of a workout.
That was at the Expo?
No, that was at the team bubble.
Oh. Now, were they available for sale, or is that like a special thing?
That was like a special thing they had. Like, I mean, how could you be able to buy that there? You know, you're at a fight card.
Right.
Right? And that's something that they could market to buy. I don't know. But, I mean, that was like, you know, you could do that to like win prizes and shit. And then, like I said, I got a water bottle, like a real nice DAZN water bottle. And then I got that portable charger, which was great because, like I said, my phone was I was able to get back to 90% before the portable charger died on me.
So, it was just like an amusement park ride, basically, but you could win prizes.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Yeah. But it was pretty neat.
All right, find out how to do it. Let's go on Shark Tank. We'll go to every boxing match with it.
That's cool. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, hey, I'll tell you, man, it was a hell of a workout, you know, on that thing. Because I think it was like, say, I didn't move. I missed a couple of them left hooks, you know, pretty big. The one time, unfortunately, we don't have a photo of it. But if you go back to the classic photo of Joe Frazier and Ali, and there's one picture where Joe's missing the left hook and Ali's pulling away from it, that was like me in the back. The back was Ali, and I was Joe missing the hook.
Well, that's cool. I'd love to see that.
The whole experience.
I wonder if it was an actual smart bag or if it was like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain there. Controlling.
Could have been.
Some asshole trying to piss you off.
You're telling me that I was able to paint the wizard? Wow. That means I'm good.
Yeah. That's cool.
Just to finalize on the whole thing, from the moment I left to the moment I got back, it was one hell of a trip. You know, whole thing. And just seeing people and meeting people. I met a couple on the plane from Philadelphia, and they were on the same flight they had. In fact, it was funny when the gentleman, the Italian guy, so he and I hit it off pretty immediately. His name's Vinny, so, you know, I always get along with people named Vinny. But talking to him, like, and when he went up to the restroom, his wife told me, she's like, you know, they weren't going to go to this one, and she was like, you know what, no, we're going, and she bought the tickets, you know, and just told him, we're going to Vegas for this fight, and he was like, okay. So I got to meet them, and like that, out of 20-some thousand people in the arena, I bump into them in the arena too.
That's how Vegas is. That's how it works sometimes.
Yeah, and you're right. And then, like I said, when we were walking out, met another guy, and he does some fighting out of Philadelphia. And we were walking, and at the same time, and he goes, man, he goes, I thought Danny could have pulled it off, man. He goes, I thought Danny could have pulled it off. He goes, but you know what? And he goes, he wasn't going to get the decision because of this, and he just pointed at all of the Mexican population there. He's like, that's why he wasn't the decision, right? And so we were walking out talking to this kid, and we're like, so how long are you in town for? He goes, he's like, Monday. He's like, yeah, I got an early flight. We're like, yeah, so do we. He goes, what time? We're like 6:30. He goes, American? We're like, yep, we were on the same flight. So, bullshit with him, a couple of his buddies in the airport. And, like, you know, I got to meet some really great people out there. I got to meet a lot of great fighters out there. And just being part of that atmosphere, I'm glad I was able to take my dad. My dad's never been to Vegas. He never been to a fight in Vegas. And, like I said, I think it was a little overwhelming for him because he had just gotten back and he was a little from a week away and he was a little tired. But he told me that he goes, I wish I wasn't so tired, but man, he goes, what an experience. Yeah. What an experience, you know? And I'm glad I was able to get to that.
Yep, Vegas, no matter where they try to have good fights, Vegas always gets the best. It's just the place to have.
You know, you get some very good fights up in New York with Madison Square Garden and the Barclays Center, which is pretty cool. You know, that's another place that, you know, we got to put on our list to go to. Atlantic City's making a little bit of research with the new Hard Rock Casino down there. So, hey, whenever there's big fights, it's a good thing, you know?
Right.
And for people that say that boxing is dying and all that, I wish they could have seen that atmosphere down there. Because that sport ain't going nowhere, man. Ain't going nowhere. And when you go to these local fight cards in Philadelphia, like that one I went to back in February, that place was, I mean, standing room only, you know, packed to the gills. This sport ain't going nowhere, man. You know, it's been around for...
Can you believe how civil we are, too? We made it through all this commentary without a single joke about the wall.
Yeah, right. We're very true people.
Geez, I wonder, though. I really wonder how many people, like, specifically jumped the border for this fight. That would be an interesting statistic to find out. But there was actually a tragedy. Literally 13 people on a plane going back from the fights got killed. So, I don't know, it was weather related, I think, but, yeah, going back to Mexico, crashed and killed everybody. So, yeah.
And you just, like I said, I guess that's obviously the 13 out of 20,000, right? So, you know, the odds of seeing anything from the fun, right? But I'm like, thinking, I'm like, wow, I just wonder if that was any of the people that were in my session. Some of the people that I wanted to push down the steps for being so drunk, obnoxious, and annoying, and, you know, double fisting and get up every, you know, half around to pee and getting in the way all the time.
Those were the people that had the money to rent the cabana that you got kicked out of.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. Yeah, some people, though, I mean, it's like, it reminds me of that situation, just rings out Wolf of Wall Street type of thing, you know, where you just would just have everybody around him doing the same thing he was for bad habits, drugs and stuff. So who knows if the pilot was on the same thing they were on in this case.
Right.
But, you know, or if he was out all night with them, you know, the night before, because he's the pilot. Hey, come on, let's party.
Yeah, right.
Who knows? Crazy stuff. We also got a couple big fights coming up this weekend. Another top-ranked card on ESPN. Miguel Burkelt, 35-1, and Francisco Vargas, 25-1-2, for the WBC World Super Featherweight title. Light guys, it's the light. This week was the light heavyweights, and this week, last week was the light heavyweights. This week is the lights, guys. Super featherweights and super bantamweights. Emmanuel Navarrete, he is 26-1, fighting Isaac Dogbo, who is 20-1 for the WBO.
Well, he's the one that took Dogbo's title, and changed trainers, and you know, looking to change the result. like I said, I saw Dalbo last year in Philadelphia when he won the title, and was impressive. And then his first title defense took on a Japanese fighter that had never been knocked down. He dropped him 3 times and put him out in the first round. But then, in his best fight, man, he got a boxing lesson. So now it's got a, can he flip the script?
Exactly. Now, we also have a big one on Fox. Premier Boxing Champions, I guess. Jarrett Hurd, another rematch against Julian Williams. A lot of people thought Williams won the first one. But Jarrett Hurd was gracious enough to do the rematch. And we'll see if he can stay undefeated again. I don't know if it's off the same venue or a different territory, neutral ground. What's going on here?
Are you sure this is the rematch? I'm pretty sure this is their first fight because
Right. It was their first one.
Oh, okay. So this is
You're thinking of Charlo, I believe.
Oh, I'm thinking of Charlo.
Knockout.
Right.
Oh, well, I misspoke then.
Yeah. Charlo starts with a single uppercut.
Well, so then this is different. Jarrett Hurd comes in hoping to stay undefeated still, though. 23-0 is his record. Julian Williams is 26-1-1, and it's for a bunch of titles: the IBF, the IBO, and the WBA Super Welterweight title. That's the only super title on the list, the WBA. But the other ones are just regular Super Welterweight titles. But the WBA is the Super World Super Welterweight title. That's 2 supers. That's two supers.
Watching a clip of Jarrett Hurd, they were showing how he hits the speed bag.
Yeah.
He does the speed bag backwards,
Oh, wow.
which is pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, we also have a bunch of other good fights on this card. Paulus Ambunda. I never heard of him, but he's 27-2 at Super Bantamweight. Fighting Stephen Travis's brother Fulton, who is 15-0. No, I don't know if they're related. But it's for the IBO World Super Bantamweight title. Travis Fulton is like one of the most, probably the greatest number of fights in MMA history, and he also boxes. Travis.
Stephen Fulton, where's he from?
Iowa, I think. Pretty sure he's from Iowa. Travis Fulton. But yeah, he'll fit.
They'll
call him on 3 hours' notice. He'll hop on a plane, hop on a bus, plane, a cab, whatever. He'll be there. I think he fights 4 times a day. He's crazy. Anyway, Mario Barrios also on this card at super lightweight. He is 23-0, fighting Juan Jose Velasco, who is 20-1. And then we have Matvey Korobov, who is 28-2, fighting Emmanuel Alim, who is 18-1 at middleweight. And an IBO Intercontinental Super Flyweight title on the line between Alexandru Marin, 17-0, undefeated, and Luis Concepcion, who is 37-7. And last one worth mentioning here, Demon Nicholson at middleweight, 21-3, with 1 draw, fighting Ernest Amuzu, who is 25-4. Also, light heavyweights worth mentioning, I should say. Ahmed El Biali, 18-1, fighting Jamie Solorio, who is 12-3-2. Good for the boxing this week. We do have a boxing story a little bit later on. A couple of them. Well, one anyway. Boxing, our MMA, we've got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. We've got 2 events from last week, and then we have 2 events to preview this week. Bellator. No, 3 events, actually. There's one going on right now, I believe, for PFL. So, 3 events. And MMA 2 just happened. So yeah, well, first we had Bellator. Brent Primus. He got the submission win over Tim Wild. So he gets his 10th win. With one loss. Wild falls to 12-5. That was over in the UK. Co-main event. It was a quick bunch of fights at the top of the bill. We had Fabian Edwards beating Falco Nato Lopez by kicks and punches. 3 minutes and 51 seconds into the first TKO. Another TKO, Pedro Carvalho. I didn't watch this card, but I saw this highlight when we had Raymond Daniels, who was not successful in his MMA debut, but boy, he was successful this time over a guy named Wilker Barros, and I don't think I've ever seen this type of strike to win a fight, but he basically did a 720 in the air, turned around twice, and instead of kicking with that, the guy looked like he was trying to block a kick, and he just turned around and right hooked him. Knockout. So he spun around
that was like out of a...
laid him out.
That was a movie move.
Yeah. Something Michael Venom Page might be expected to do, but no, it was Raymond Daniels this time. And yeah, he's definitely learned some things. This was 4:36 into the first round, so we literally only had about 24 seconds left in the round. Good stuff there. Now, we won't go through all the fights there. We got so many of them to talk about. But right now, we have Professional Fighters League 1, the first fight of the 2019 regular season here. And that person is on this card tonight. But we've already had some results. We got... Let's see what else we got since we started the show. Let's refresh it. Let's see the first fight of the night. Roberta Samad beat Moriel Charneski by unanimous decision. We had Chris Curtis beating Andre Fiallo by TKO punches. 4 minutes and 17 seconds into the third round. We had a rear naked choke submission win for Glyko Franca over Gamzat Kira Magomedov. That was 4 minutes and 6 seconds into the first. Bobby Joe Dalziel beat Gina Fabian by unanimous decision. Henderson Ferreira beat Bojan Velikovic by unanimous decision. Sabadou Sai just won over David Michaud. Body kick and punches 17 seconds into the first round. So that was a quick one. Right now we've got female fight. Sarah Kaufman going against Morgan Fryer. And Ray Cooper III against Zane Hamaka. And guy I met in person there, and I always remember him as the guy who broke the nose of the Boston Bomber there, the older brother that got killed. He was into boxing, and I guess he went into John Howard's gym and sparred him one day, and John Howard broke his nose. John Howard back in action in MMA, and co-main event basically here against Magomed Kuramov. Magomed there. And then the main event is a big female fight. Kayla Harrison, she's a judo medalist, coming in 3-0 against Larissa Pacheco, who is 11-2. This is going to be in Uniondale, New York. Well, it is right now. Uniondale, New York. So, we had of course, the UFC fight last week. Donald Cerrone against Al Quinta.
Now that was a beat. Now, did you catch that fight, Rich?
Yes, I watched all of them. That was all the main card there, and
all you can say about Al, what a chin.
Yeah, he definitely was out of his element there. He definitely didn't seem aggressive. Like I said, he had a chance first 2 rounds. I gave him that chance. If he was going to knock him out, it had to be so aggressive that it was going to happen in the first 2 rounds. And he was aggressive, but it's just he never had any knockout power on any of it. And he took too many shots to get in range. And Cowboy used his reach and just definitely had way more tools in the toolbox. And Al,
well, you know, yeah, Cowboy had a slump a couple years ago, but boy, he's come back. Wow.
Yeah, he's putting it all together now. And he's, you know, a lot of it is because he trains with so many different people, and you know, he actually teaches now. Whereas before he was going to other people to learn a lot of stuff, and he got into that big beef with Winklejohn, or you know, Jackson Wink there out in Albuquerque, because he was taking too many people away from the gym to do his own thing out on the ranch. So I think in this case it's actually helped him out now that he's gone and done his own thing. He didn't like being at the puppy mill, he called it. Called it a puppy mill. So anyway, he's obviously on the move. He called it out. He wants to be back in the title picture, but he also wouldn't mind a fight with Conor McGregor, just for ratings purposes. But we still haven't heard of what's going on with Conor McGregor. But Dana White is making some stink about boxing. He's going to do something about boxing this summer. Zuffa boxing might come into play, so I would not be surprised if Mayweather and McGregor have round 2 of their fight as the first big event, and then they stuff it with other potential UFC crossover fights. And we'll see. Let's see, we also had but yeah, Al Quinta going in there and just he gave it a good try. Unfortunately, went to decision and he got beat up pretty good. Got cut open, and it's just one of those things where Donald Cerrone has made a career out of it, and Al Quinta does it on the side. You know, he was good against certain people that he's well matched against, but you know, you put him in against a polished professional who's been there forever, and you know, it's just things that he can pick apart. So, yeah, well, hopefully Al will figure it out. We had Derek Brunson in the co-main event, beating Elias Theodorou by unanimous decision there. And Derek came out pretty aggressive. It was a pretty good fight. Shane Burgos got a very narrow split decision over Cub Swanson. That was a tough fight for both guys. They battled for a long time against each other. Mirab Divalashvili beat Brad Katona by unanimous decision. We had Walt Harris getting was a little wild on that one. Vince Morales beat Aliman Zahabi by unanimous decision. 5th fight. 4th fight of the night, Nordine Taleb beat Kyle Prepelec. And we'll go through the rest of them. Other 3. Of course, we have dueling UFC and Bellator fights as well this week. But this week they're going to be on the same days again, May 11th. But one of them's in Brazil. UFC is going to Brazil, and this is a really big one for the females. Rose Namajunas and Jessica Andrade. So tough females here going at it in the main event, and in Brazil, which is obviously not going to favor Rose. Unless it doesn't go to decision. Could well happen. But Rose, they call her Thug Rose. And it's just a dynamic fighter in a small package. And I just don't know how she gets the power she does. But it's going to be a good one. We're going to drag out fight here. Anderson Silva also on the card. Coming right back since his devastation there by his understudy, the style bender. He's going in right away. He's co-main event here. 34-9 against Jared Cannonier, who's 11-4. And then Jose Aldo getting fed to the Lion here. He's 28-4 going against Alexander Volkanovski, who's 19-1. And Jose has actually been talking a lot about boxing too, so he wants to cross over. So he might be one of those ones on that Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather 2 undercard. Also, Thiago Alves on this card. He's 23-13, fighting Lorian. Carlos Diego Ferreira, he's 15-2, fighting Antonio Rogerio Nogueira, 23-8, fighting Ryan Spann, who's 15-5.
Wow. Still fighting.
Still going. Wow. Thiago Moises, also on the card, 11-3, fighting Kurt Holobaugh, who is a 17-6 is his record. And we got Irene Aldana, 9-4, fighting Betch Kohea, who is 10-3 with one draw. Clay Guida and BJ Penn fighting on this card. I did not know about this fight. That is an interesting matchup. Clay 34-18, BJ 16-13-2, and just has not looked good in any of his recent fights. We'll see.
Well, yeah, I don't think BJ's won a fight since around 2010 or something like that.
Since the turn of the century. No, I'm just kidding.
No, not that long.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to watch. Luana Carolina also on the card, 5-1, fighting Priscilla Cachoeira, who is 8-2. Warley Alves, 12-3, fighting Sergio Moraes, who is 14-4-1. Second fight tonight, Carlos Joaquin, who is 10-3-1, fighting Rayoni Barcelos, who is 13-1. And we got Talita Bernardo, 6-3, fighting Viviane Araujo, who is 6-1. And then we go to Rosemont, Illinois for Bellator, Saturday night. Michael Chandler and Patricio Freire, 19-4 Chandler. Freire is 28-4. Pitbull. It's going to be an interesting one. For sure. These guys have history too, I believe, right? Second or third? Find out in a minute. Douglas Lima versus Michael Page in the co-main event. Douglas is 30. He's got 30 wins, 7 losses. Michael's still undefeated, 14-0. Called MVP. The middle name is Venom. He calls himself MVP, so that's why. Distance, almost every other one is a knockout. Could be wrong about that. Also on the card, AJ McKee versus Pat Curran. Great matchup. AJ's 13-0. Pat Curran is 23-7. And let's see, Michael Chandler. He's fought Patricky a few times, but not Patricio. That's the first one. First one for them. Alright, we also have Jake Hager versus TJ Jones. Taiwan Claxton versus James Bennett. Claxton's 4-0, Bennett's 4-1. Joey Deal versus Jesse Bazzi. Deal is 12-9. Bazzi is 7-4. And we got Askar. That's a weird name. Askar. That's 7-0 is his record. Fighting Taylor Moore, who's 7-2. By the way, I didn't mention it, but on the boxing schedule for last week, James Taylor won his boxing debut. So there's hope for all of us if he's making his debut. The singer, James Taylor.
A little past his prime.
That was a good boxing name. Anyway, news. All right, here's interesting one. Now, we talked probably a little bit over a year ago about this big thing over in Japan, or no, Chinese, over in China. There's a big debate over all these ancient practitioners of different martial arts, and they think they're the best, and you know, they scam people into believing this stuff is the be-all, end-all of fighting, and then they get exposed by a guy who fights MMA, and they had a big, huge face-off between an MMA fighter and one of these practitioners, and the guy got his ass kicked from, you know, whatever style it was that they said was the best. The MMA guy wiped him out with him. And the same guy has been causing all kinds of stuff. So, it boiled over at a shopping mall last week in Shanghai. Somebody got shanghaied, and it gets pretty good. It gets into a little bit of professional wrestling here, because there's a Taekwondo group. Okay, they're doing a demonstration, and there's a gym nearby. You know, weightlifting gym. You guys are getting buff or whatever, and so the Taekwondo group, they're doing some kind of demonstration. They're getting really loud, so people are making complaints, and the gym is right next door to where they're doing it. So the gym guys come out and confront them. And I haven't watched. There's actually the whole video. I haven't watched it yet, but all hell apparently broke loose, and alarms started going off. Fists and kicks were thrown, and of course the gym guys had a little bit of height and reach advantage, and they wiped the floor with the martial arts guys. They didn't have room to throw their kicks, and they literally got left in a heap. And some of them were literally flopping like NBA players, trying to get a foul.
Yeah, send me a link. Send me a link for that, Rich, if you can. Send me a link for that. I'd like to see that. It's kind of a depressingly familiar theme for these traditional guys. I think they learn. I mean, you gotta wonder. Back even in the 70s and 80s, we started to see the limitations of those styles compared to the boxers. Yeah. But now it's ridiculous. I mean, where have these people been since those days?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah, Taekwondo doesn't help you either, I guess.
Well, yeah. There could be a few small things there, but unless you have the basics down in boxing, BJJ, and wrestling, unless you have those basics down, like Taekwondo, karate, Kung Fu, they just haven't performed. Kung Fu's probably been the worst. And ironically, in the 70s, it was considered so elite, so mysterious. This incredible power of a Kung Fu master. Well, it hasn't panned out.
So if they don't have a future in MMA, they have a future in WWE. But here's a good one for boxing. Another piece of news before that's pretty much it for this week, I guess. But Oscar De La Hoya, okay, he doesn't have enough on his plate. He's pissed off at Dana White. He's been talking all kinds of smack about Dana White and how he sucks. We all know that. But this is another thing. Another guy, Kevin Hart, another short guy.
Another short Philadelphia.
Yeah. Kevin Hart got into the boxing ring against a poker player for some reason. I haven't heard the backstory on this, but I did hear that this was going to happen. And it's a live sparring session that's online. A guy named Antonio Esfandiari. And I'll tell you, Kevin Hart has about a 17-inch reach disadvantage on this guy. He's like twice as tall and lanky. I don't even know if they're the same weight, but obviously they had to have a beef to get to this point. It was personal up until the end when they kind of made friends. But from the footage, it looks like he definitely has some game. So there's a future in it for him. But Oscar's taking it real seriously. He says, I can get him a few fights, 4-rounders, 6-rounders, build him up to the championship level. Now, Kevin Hart, obviously, wants to take it easy. He wants a rematch. He lost the fight against this guy, the sparring match. So he wants a rematch before he does anything else. And Oscar said he'll promote that too. He says, I have the perfect location. We can do it at the Staples Center. Headlined by Kevin Hart, live on DAZN. Make a lot of money. I could make up a championship belt that would fit it around his waist. Come on, Kevin, let's do it. So, I don't know if that's...
Alex, I enjoy Kevin's work. I think it's really funny. Local guy, obviously, so he's been on the film radar for a while now. I've seen, and I guess it was a spoof, but I thought it was a fantastic idea. Could see them working really well together, and they both have, good comedic talents. A remake of the movie Twins, which was originally made in the 80s with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito.
Right.
And this was going to be a remake of the movie with Shaquille O'Neal and Kevin Hart. And yeah, exactly. And they had like a poster. And you go back to the original Twins, and it was like a poster of Schwarzenegger and DeVito like standing next to each other, like matching outfits, and like DeVito's leaning up against them, making them look even like shorter. Basically, they recreated that shot, which I thought was hilarious. And if you ever want to see, something pretty funny, Kevin Hart, being a Philadelphia guy, was at the Super Bowl last year, and he tells the story. He was on Conan O'Brien's show, and he tells how he actually got himself on the field and then damn near got himself arrested. He goes, probably we're at the game, we're all excited, we're all drinking. He goes, and when you're drunk and you're in the moment, you get these crazy ideas that you think are great, but everybody in the world thinks they're not. And he goes, and that's why you have wives, because he goes, wives are usually the smarter ones of the two. Guys will get themselves killed. He's like, I'd get this crazy idea that, they win and we're all in the moment. He goes, I got to go down on the field. He goes, I get down on the field and I'm stuffing turf in my pocket and batting confetti and all that. And he goes, then I get this other brilliant idea that I need to hold the Lombardi Trophy. So he goes, I'm making a beeline for the stage. And he goes, when I get up to the stage, as I'm getting to the stage, you see somebody say something to me. Basically what they're saying is, Kevin, the trophy's right here. Get a picture with it. And he goes, no, I have to get on the stage to get my picture with the trophy. He's like, I'm standing right next to the trophy, and I'm trying to get on the stage to be with the trophy while I'm standing next to it. He goes, I damn near got arrested. But you have to watch his version of it on the Conan O'Brien show, because it is, comedic gold.
Awesome.
If I can find the link, I'll send it to you.
He's funny. All right. Well, speaking of funny, I saw you met another comedian out there with his stuffed little buddy since Vern Troyer died. He stuffed him.
Oh my God!
Mini.
Dude, that guy was fantastic.
Dr. Evil.
That was not Mike Myers.
No, that was an impersonator, right?
Yeah, that was an impersonator. But he was so on point. you were told it was Mike Myers. And he was so on point. When I sent the pictures of my friends, they were like, what is that, a wax figure? And I'm like, no, that's a guy. They're like, no way. And I'm like, no, look at the other pictures. You see, we're doing different poses. We're doing the air quotes, and we're doing the, the peace symbols and all that. I'm like, dude, that was an actor. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, he was great. I'm like, I know. And the voice actor was like, Mini-Me. Come here, Mini-Me. Come get a photo. I love you too, Mini-Me.
That was good. The people you meet in Vegas. Did you meet any Elvises?
Right.
The Elvises are everywhere.
It was definitely a trip to remember.
I saw you even posted a picture of the chapel, the Luxor Chapel. The wedding special.
Yeah, the one for the chapter.
If you want to get married in
I
the pyramid.
was gonna bring the girl back from Coyote Ugly, the one that I just met. I was gonna bring her back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Then you could have.
Other
Then
friends.
you could have a hangover night.
Probably would have beat my ass.
All right, guys. Well, until next week, I think we're going to call it a night. Let's see if the
All
Giants
right.
can win this game.
All right, guys, let's enjoy the fight.
No.
All right.
Thanks for going out to Vegas there to bring us all the magic back there, Troy.
Well, thanks for allowing me to cover the Van Expo.
No problem. I had to lobby a little bit, but it wasn't that hard. All right, guys. Till next week.
I need the photos to add to the article from my Facebook album. Like I said, anything you need on there. And if you anything you need to add, a few comments on my coverage, go ahead.
All right. Awesome.
All right, well, gentlemen, until next week, enjoy your weekend.
Adios.
Great job, Tony. Great job last week.
I appreciate it. Hasta la vista, gentlemen.
See you later.